Hare Krishna. 1 minute. Mukam karodi vachalam pangam langai digrim yatkripathamagam mandeshi gurum dinatarinam paramananda madhavam Sri Chaitanya Mesharam. Hari Om Sat. Tat Sat. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 4, verse number 30. I'm using my new laptop, so I am so many things is not familiar to me. Hope you can see my screen.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Fourth canto, fourth chapter, verse number 30. Soyam durmarsa hridayo brahmadrukcha loke apakirtim mahitam avapsyasi yad angajam swam purushadvit udhyatham na pratyasetan mrityo aparadhadaha. Synonym translation and purport by His Divine Grace, His Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Sah, he, I am that, Durmarsha Hridaya, hard-hearted, Brahmadruk, unworthy to be Brahmana, Cha, and Loke, in the world, Apakirtim, ill fame, Mahatim, extensive, Avapsyati, will gain. Yet Angajham, the daughter of whom Swam own, Purushadvit, the enemy of Lord Shiva, Udhyatham, who was preparing, Na Pratyaya Sadhyat, did not prevent Mritya for death. Aprardhatha, because of his offense. Translation: Daksha, who is so hard-hearted that he is unworthy to be a Brahmana, will gain extensive ill fame because of his offenses to his daughter, because of not having prevented her death, and because of his great envy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. Anybody want to read purport?
Should I read, Prabhuji?
Yes, ma'am.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Daksha is described here as most hard-hearted and therefore unqualified to be a Brahmana. Brahmadruk is described by some commentator to mean Brahma Bandhu or friend of Brahmanas. A person who is born in a Brahmana family but has no Brahmanical qualification is called a Brahma Bandhu. Brahmanas are generally very soft-hearted and forbearing because they have the power to control the senses and the mind. Daksha, however, was not forbearing for the simple reason that his son-in-law, Lord Shiva, did not stand up to show him formality of respect. He became so angry and hard-hearted that he tolerated even the death of his dearest daughter. Sati tried her best to mitigate the misunderstanding between the son-in-law and the father-in-law by coming to her father's house, even without an invitation, and at that time Daksha should have received her, forgetting all past misunderstanding, but he was he was so hard-hearted that he was unworthy to be called an Aryan or Brahmana. Thus, his ill fame still continues. Daksha means expert, and he was given this name because of his ability to beget many hundreds and thousands of children. Persons who are too sexually inclined and materialistic become so hard-hearted because of a slight loss of prestige that they can tolerate even the death of their children. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Madhuji. Thank you so much. So herein, Prabhupada is giving the explanation what makes Daksha to behave like this. Daksha is a Prajapati. He is one in charge of creating the progeny under the order of his father Brahma, and the progeny is being created. Daksha, translation goes like this: Daksha, who is so hard-hearted that he is unworthy to be Brahmanas, will gain extensive ill fame because of his offenses to his daughter. So he is in the service of Lord Brahma to populate the planets. Because of that, he is being called Daksha, which means expert in populating the planets. So that's how the living entity get a chance to come and live in this living in the planet. So what happens here, because of his material opulent position, he is not ready to digest anything which comes in between his pride and his service. So here, in the previous incident, when he entered, Lord Shiva did not get up to give him respect. That caused him his enmity, and all we read in very detailedly what all the words he said, and he did not reply anything to that. And later, his disciples and the Brahmanas had cursing and counter cursing. This all happened, but he was unmoved by this one. And then the second incident is happening now again in a sacrifice arena, where she saw through the Mother Sati, wife of Lord Shiva, saw his sisters and all of from different planetary system. They were coming to Daksha Yaga. So she tried to convince her husband to come participate, and then he said, "I'm not being invited, so you should also not go, not because they did not invite me, they are going to ill treat you all, because he's a supreme personal, so he knows what is going to happen in future." So because of this, his character, he knows that he is so much puffed up, he is about his position. He is thinking that Shiva is my son-in-law. So that is materialistic approach. But he did not understand the real position of Shiva. Is not even equal to Brahma. He is very, very high position. He is a manifestation of Shiva Tattva from Vishnu Tattva himself. So Shiva is none other than Lord Vishnu. So these material designations are nothing. Being a Brahmana, being a all knowledgeable person, he should have understand that. But now he is being falling down because of his egoistic activities. So in such a position, he is called Brahmadruk or Brahma Bandhu. Though he look like a Brahmana, but he is not a Brahmana at all. He is not qualified at all. So this is on that thing, we all know that he had 16 children and Mother Sati was 16th, and he was so attached to her, affectionate. But because she became the husband of Lord Shiva, he was ready to sacrifice her for his pride. She was doing that. Couple of verses before, we saw that Mother Sati, she emanated fire from her body within, and she emulated her of herself. So this is the nature of the people who are in this mode. But we will see in coming verses how he transforms himself, understanding his position, and then he becomes perfect his life. In Bhagavatam, so many such characters are shown. Why? It is giving a lesson for us to, in all our material occupations, designations, we should never get puffed up. We should always think that we are in the service of the Lord. Whatever knowledge we have, whatever wealth we are given, whatever the health we get, these are all from the mercy of the Supreme Lord. So out of the body, out of our beauty, out of our knowledge, out of our wealth, whatever service we do, the only person who can enjoy is the Supreme Lord. We are an instrument for his pleasure. If you have 10 lakhs, if you would like to help some other, you should do it in such a way that I am doing the service of the Supreme Lord, but I became the instrument. The Lord has made me as the instrument to distribute that. In this way, we will not accumulate any punya karma also. The piety activity is also a bonding. If you do a lot of punya karma, what will happen? We will again take a birth again to come this one. In Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 23rd chapter, discuss about one Avanti Brahmana. That story is very, very important. How he is transforming from very fallen situation to a very elevated devotees level. The story goes like this. In the 23rd chapter, 2nd verse, Lord Krishna saying, he is talking to Uddhava. Lord Krishna is saying, O disciple of Brahaspati, there is virtually no saintly man in this world capable of resettling his own mind after it has been disturbed by the insulting word of uncivilized men. So here the Lord is explaining that what is the cause of our fall down, how the mind tricks us to behave illfully and then fall down. My dear Uddhava, in this regard, a most pious story is told, and I shall now describe it to you. Please listen with careful attention. Once a certain sannyasi was insulted in many ways by impious men. However, with determination, he remembered that he was suffering the fruit of his own previous karma. I will narrate to you his story and that which he spoke. He is talking about Avanti Brahmana. Brahmana is unaffected by whatever happening around him, whatever people speak ill about him, because he understood that whatever is happening to me as a suffering or misery, I am the architect of that. Because of my actions only, this is happening. He understood that. In the country of Avanti, the Avanti is present day Malwa. Malwa is, I think, part of Rajasthan, I think. There once lived certain Brahmana who was very rich and gifted with all opulences and who was engaged in the occupation of commerce. He was a businessman, but he was miserly person. There is a parallel, another person, Purandaradas. If we get a time, we'll discuss about him also. But he was, not only he was a miser, he was lusty, greedy, and very prone to anger. Because of his high position, high wealth, he was like this. In his home, devoid of religiosity and lawful sense gratification, the family members and guests were never properly respected, even with words. He would not even allow sufficient gratification for his own body at the suitable time. So he was so miser that even he was not taking the pleasure to his body. Even his body is aloof from his mind. Such was his condition. In his home, devoid of religious, okay. Since he was so hard-hearted and miserly, his son-in-laws, wife, daughters, and servants began to feel inimical towards him. All were angry with him because he was not giving anything. Becoming disgusted, they would never treat him with affection. In this way, the presiding, so much so he started offending everyone. The presiding deities of the five family sacrifices became angry at the Brahmana. So, if we are not surrendered to Supreme Lord and we are not at the service of the pure devotional service to the Supreme Lord, at least we have to be serving the demigods. So it is the preliminary stage of services. So what happened? They all became very angry. The demigods who are guarded his wealth like a yaksha, who had no good destination either in this world or next, and who was totally deprived of religiosity and sense enjoyment. He was completely engrossed into that. Then Lord continues, Odava, by his neglect of these demigods, he depleted his stock of piety and all his wealth. So, the accumulations of his repeated exhaustive endeavors was totally lost. So, it is like this, if you have all wealth, and then if we are not at this devotional service to the Supreme Lord, at least we have to worship and do the puja vidikrama to kriya to demigods. Otherwise, they get angry because he is completely, because of their mercy only he is getting that, he is forgetting this. So what happened? Because they are angry, all his wealth started going out. Finally, his property was completely lost. He was never engaged in religiosity. Sense enjoyment became ignored by his family members. Thus, he began to feel unbearable anxiety. So now everything is going and now he is in an anxiety. What will happen to me in my future? Tasyaivam dhyayato dirgam nastarayas tabasvina kidayado basva kandasya nirvade sumahan abdud. Having lost all his wealth, he felt great pain and lamentation. Now he started lamenting. His throat choked with tears and he meditated on the long time on his fortune. Then a powerful feeling of renunciation came over him. So here he started doing the right thing. All his family against him, all the demigods against him, all the society against him, the wealth has gone, health has gone. Now in the completely drained situation, no scope for sense gratification. Even in that situation, even in the as a beggar, the living entity will not lose the propensity of sense enjoyment. But here, for the Avanti Brahman, he thought that everything has happened because of my activities. So this is the right opportunity for me to renounce. So the Brahmana said, oh, what a great misfortune. I have simply tormented myself uselessly, struggling so hard for money that was not even intended for religiosity or material enjoyment. What to speak about material enjoyment? Even it is for not for the religiosity, but it is for only for the enjoyment of the Supreme Lord. Generally, the wealth of a miser never allows them any happiness, because miser never take the money for enjoyment. In this life, it causes their self-torment, and when they die, it sends to them to hell, because in a miserly situation, greed, lust, anger, all will act very vigorously, and their gate for the hell is open. Whatever a pure fame is possessed by the famous, and whatever praiseworthy qualities are found in the virtuous, are destroyed by even a small amount of greed. Just as one's attractive physical beauty is ruined by the trace of white leprosy. If one is looking very beautiful, but he shows his finger and there is the white leprosy has started, then there is no value for the beauty, whatever it may be. So Lord Krishna says again, his mind was determined that most excellent Avanti Brahmana was able to untie the knots of desire within his heart. He then assumed a role of peaceful and silent sannyasi mendicant. So now this is the great opportunity for me. Now I lost everything. No material attachment is possible now. So let me attach to the Supreme Lord. So then he became a silent sannyasi mendicant. He wandered about the earth, keeping his intelligence, senses of life, air under control. He was even not caring for his food or anything. To beg charity, he traveled alone in various cities and villages. He did not advertise his advanced spiritual position, and thus was not recognized by others. He was in such an elevated position, but he did not mention that he was thinking that I was not worthy at all. Then what happened? Seeing him as an old, dirty beggar, rowdy persons would dishonor him with many insults. Some of these persons would take away his sannyasi rod, and some of them water pot, and and he was using the begging bowl. Some took that begging bowl, some took the deer skin where he used to sit and meditate. Some used to pull the ragged cloth also, whatever he had, displaying these things before him. They would pretend to him, but he would hide somewhere. When he was sitting on the bank of river about the partake of the food that was collected on begging, such sinful rascals would come and pass urine on it. Then they would dare to spit on his face. So this was the situation. Although he had taken a vow of silence, they would try to make him speak, and he did not speak. They would beat him with sticks. Others would chastise him, saying, "This man is just as a thief, And then some of them said, "He is a cheater. Tie him up like this." He was not responding to any of this. He would criticize, insult him. They criticize and insult him. This man is just a hypocrite and a cheat. He makes business of religion simply because he lost all his wealth and his family threw him out. Because they all know him, what was he before, how his character was before. But he was not responding to anything. Some of them would ridicule him by saying, "Just to see this grateful person say, as he is steadfast as a Himalayan mountain. By practicing silence, he strives of as a goal with a great determination, just like a heroine. So other persons would pass full air upon him. Sometimes others would bind this twice born Brahmana in chairs and keep him captive like a pet animal. The Brahmana understood that all his suffering from others being from the higher forces of nature. He understood this is law of nature, because this is what he did in his wealth days. So he understood that this is unavoidable, being allotted to him by the providence of his karma. Even while he is insulted by these low-class men who were trying to affect his downfall, he remained steady in his spiritual duties. Fixing his resolution in the mode of goodness, he began to chant the following. This Brahmana said, Nayam jano sukha dukkha hetu na devatma graha karma kalaha mana param karanam amanati samsara chakram parivattayed yat. Brahmana said, these people are not cause of my happiness and distress. Neither the demigods, my own body, the planets, my past work or time. Rather, it is the mind alone that causes happiness and distress and perpetuates the rotation of material life. So he understood my happiness and distress are not because of anything. He's saying, not the people, demigods, my body, planets, past work and time. So we consider all these are the reasons. My surroundings, my family people, my office people, or devatas are not giving me anything. Or planets, we go to check where is the guru, my guru Shukra where. So these planets are also not reason for my happiness and distress. Rather, my mind is the reason, thinking that I'm in a happy mood or a happy situation or in the distress situation. The mind is the only reason for that. In Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, 14th verse, Lord Krishna says, Matra sparshastu kaunteya sidoshna sugadukkadaga agama apaino anistyas tam tidiktasva bharata. Matra sparshastu kaunteya. It is only your mental perception that you are feeling happiness or feeling distress at this very moment. Sidoshna sugadukkadaga agama apaino anityas. Sita Ushna. The winter days comes, summer days comes. We don't have any control on that. Similarly, Sugha and Dukkha come and go. Sugha will come and Dukkha will also come. And both of them are not temporary, not permanent. Like summer is not permanent, winter is not permanent. Similarly, Sugam also not permanent and Dukkham also not permanent. This will come and go. Agamo apaino anityas. Coming and going of this Sugha Dukkha or summer winter is anityas. It's not permanent. Tam tidiksasva Bharata. Oh Bharata Varsha Arjuna, you try to tolerate this. We can understand if Krishna says that tolerate your miseries, your difficulties. We can understand that we need some extra effort to tolerate our miseries. But Krishna is saying, tolerate your happiness also. Why? That is also not permanent. So if you are enjoying so much of your happiness, then you will definitely suffer when the difficulties or miseries come to us. Prabhupada once he was coming in Cairo in flight. So some people, some rogue people, some football players, they were making so much noise, and even those days, cigarette were not but allowed in the fuselage. Those who were smoking. So the disciples of Prabhupada, got up and said that, please keep quiet. My Swamiji is there, is chanting like that. They did not care and they were continuing. Then he started calling the stewards, the air hostess, and tell them. He told that Prabhupada was looking all this. And then third time when he started getting up, say something, Prabhupada said, why you are so intolerant? Let them do it. If you are suffering something, by providence, we have to suffer that. You simply accept it. If at all they stop it, then it is also, it's a matter of providence that we are getting some solace. So you tolerate it. If you cannot tolerate, how can you become a devotee? Okay. Then what happened? Charity, prescribed duties, observation of major and minor regulative principles, hearing from scriptures, pious works, and purifying was all have as their final aim of subduing our mind. The mind will completely have control on charity, prescribed duties, what duty I have to do, how to do that, everything under the control of mind. So keeping mind under control, everything is being regulated. If one's mind is perfectly fixed and pacified, then tell me, what is the need does one have to perform ritualistic charity and other pious rituals? And if one's mind remains uncontrolled, lost in ignorance, then what is the use of these engagements for him? So many people go and do many pujas and karmas to mitigate their problem. But the problem is, if the mind is controlled and mind teaches them that you are not suffering, or if you are not enjoying, these are all the providence of our karma, then we don't have to go and do all this one. So for a devotee, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur, he refers one sloka from Narada Pancharatra, Aradito yadiharis tapasya tatakim, na aradito yadiharis tapasya tatakim, andarbahir yadiharis tapasya tatakim, na antarbahir yadiharis tapasya tatakim. So why do you do all this tapasya? In any case, you don't have to do any tapasya. What are the conditions? Aradito yadiharis. If you are always praying the Supreme Lord, then why you do all this tapasya? It is not required. Na aradito hari yadiharis tapasya tatakim. If you are not worshipping the Supreme Lord, then all your tapasya is futile. Then why are you doing that? Antarbahir yadi hari tapasya tatakim. If you can see the Hari inside and outside, then why should you do any tapasya? Not required, because already you achieved it. Na antarbahir yadi hari tadasya tapakim. If you cannot see Hari within yourself and within outside, then why you are doing all tapasya? That is not at all going to give you any benefit. If one is worshipping Lord Hari, what is the use of performing extraneous penance? And if one is not worshipping Lord Hari, so much penance will save one. No such penance will save one. If one can understand that Lord Hari is all pervading within and without, what is the need of performing penances? And if one is not able to understand that Hari is all pervading, all his penances are useless. The Vaishnava is always absorbed in executing his devotional service to Krishna. If a devotee becomes falsely proud of executing severe penance and austerity and meditates on accepting and rejecting material objects instead of thinking of his service to the Krishna, his so-called austerities become an impediment to devotional service. So devotee is never care about this kind of tapasyas and all that. His aim is to serve the Supreme Lord. So for him, these are all nothing. all these senses have been under these are all the Lord's telling Uddhava about the condition of Avanti Brahmana. He's saying all these senses have been under the control of mind since time immemorial, and the mind himself never comes under the sway of any other. He is stronger than the strongest, and his godlike power is fearsome. Therefore, anyone who can bring the mind under control becomes the master of all senses. We must know the mind is the master of all senses, and the senses are the very bad masters. How much ever we sense, we serve our senses, they will ask more and more. Never ever a thankless masters. We cannot make them happy. If they want, if you ask all your senses what all you want, then you try to save them and tell them that I will serve you whatever you want, and this is the end of it. You should not ask anything more. But ironically, how much ever you start serving them, they will keep asking more and more and more. Failing to conquer this irresponsible enemy, the mind, who urges and intolerable and who torments the heart, many people are completely bewildered and create useless quarrel with others. Thus they conclude that other people are either their friends, their enemies, or parties indifferent to them. This is applicable to the persons within the family, the neighbors, the neighboring countries, or faraway countries. Every single person is thinking how best I can do sense gratification. When the World War broke, when Prabhupada, somebody was asked Prabhupada why the World War happened, and he said Germany was thinking one should do the sense gratification this way, and Britain, France, and other countries, no, that is not the way one should. I should occupy your spaces, and I should take my country big, and my people should enjoy the senses more. While so basically, if we think everything, I should be the enjoyer, I should be the enjoyer. If we release from that mentality, I'm here to serve you, the whole world become a piece of a peaceful land. But that is not going to happen as long as one is not in Krishna consciousness or God consciousness. If you say that these people are the cause of my happiness and distress, then where is the place of? So we'll see what are the possibility of one is getting miseries. So failing to conquer, persons who identify with this body, or if a person identify himself with a body, which is simply the product of the material mind, we all know that it is a material elements, blinded in their intelligence, thinking that I and mine, ahangaram and mamakaram, is the biggest enemy we have. Because of their illusion of this I, but that is something else, they wander in the endless darkness. If they keep going with the mind of I and mine, they will never find the happiness. So if the second stage, if you say that these people are the cause of my happiness and distress, then where is the place of the soul in such conception? This happiness and distress pertaining not to the soul, but to the interaction of material bodies. If someone bites his tongue with his own teeth, at whom can he become angry, is suffering. So the people around are the reason. That is also not true, because we understand that we are not this body, and the people around are also in our similar situation, forgetting the real situation. If you say that the demigods who rule the bodily senses cause suffering, we all know that every limb is controlled by a demigod, and they are the one giving, making us suffer. Still, how can such suffering apply to the spirit soul? Because spirit soul, they cannot touch. Demigods also, They are in the Jiva Tattva. This acting and being acted upon merely interactions of the changeable senses and their presiding deities. When one limb of the body attacks another, with whom can the person, that body, be angry? If with my hand I am beating myself, I cannot blame anyone. Similarly, this all happening because of our actions. If the soul himself were the cause of happiness, if you are thinking soul is the reason, then we could not blame others, since happiness and distress would be simply the nature of the soul. According to the theory, nothing except the soul actually exists, and if we are perceive something basis on the soul, that would be illusion. Therefore, since happiness and distress do not actually exist in this concept, why become angry at once? Because original constitutional position of the soul is, we cannot think that the soul is the one feeling pain and pleasure, because soul is always Anandamaya Abhyasa. It is always eternally available, and it is fully possessing the cognizance of the nature. It is the fully knowledgeable entity, and it is eternally available, everlasting, and it is always blissful. So the soul's real identity is not the thing which is causing us problem, because the soul identifying with the material, then the problem comes. If you assume the fruity work, our fruity work is the cause of the happiness and distress, we still are not dealing with the soul. It is away from the soul. The idea of material work arises when there is a spiritual actor, unconscious and material body, that undergoes the transformation of happiness and distress. So it is the transformation of the soul, which says that, and the Avanti Brahmana is saying, in every chances, I cannot complain anyone rather than myself. And then he continuously served the Supreme Lord with all his capacity to work under as a constitutional position of a Jivatma, which is Jivera Swarubhagya Nithera Krishna Das. We all Das of the Supreme Lord. That is why in the previous days, if we carefully see, 2-3 generations before, the children's name are given as Madhav Das, Narayana Das, Ramadas. All are name ending with Das to remind us that we are the Das of that Supreme Lord. But later we forgot that. If we know that, then all other activities will not give any importance to that. So we'll stop here. This is how a really intelligent Brahmana should work on. But here, at this stage, when Mother Sati was leaving body, Prajapati Daksha did not interfere. He was simply sitting as a hot-hearted, his heart was like a rock. He did not show any feeling, because his pride and his ego against Shiva was much higher. In the coming verses, he will feel sad for that, and he will also, like Avanti Brahmana, he will also start thinking about, and he will realize his position. Hare Krishna. We'll stop here. Any questions, comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Madaji.
Prabhuji, you said if one become master of mind, what does it mean and how to get? It's very tough.
In 6th chapter, 7th verse, Lord is saying, Jitatmana prasantasya Paramatma Samagidaga. Paramatma is always there. Correct. But we try not to, we are not making any endeavor to understand him. So Jitatmana prasantasya, immediately he becomes happy. Mind is the reason for everything. Bandhur atmanastasya, mind is the best of all friends. We have many friends. Friends who is that, who will guide us, who will help us, like that. Mind will become our best friend if the mind is controlled, in our control. But mind, if is not in our control, and if our actions are under the mind's control, then what happens? Mind will become the worst of all enemies. We may have thousands of enemies, and find out who is the worst enemy. That is mind. What will happen? What will make it? Its aim is to make us fall down in all respect. So yeah, the same mind, if it is controlled by us, it becomes the best of best friend. Otherwise, it goes to the worst of worst enemy. You understand, Madaji? So the mind is it is an
Can
art.
you give one example, Prabhuji? Example. Practical life example.
Yeah, practical life example means, see, if our mind is saying that, for example, today evening I want to go out for party, mind is started calling you, okay, and then in two conditions. If the first condition, when we say the ego or the soul gets the directions from the intelligence. So our option is to attend satsang, go to temple, hear about something which will give permanent benefit to our Atma. So these are all the intelligence will give guidance. So first case, if we become control of the mind, and then we'll say no partying evening. Whatever they say, whatever they feel, it is not a matter for me. I have to work out for my soul, for my eternal benefit. So in this way, whatever the surroundings, society will say, how much ever I'm going to lose of sense gratification, be it food or dresses or some musical extravaganza, whatever, these are all not going to give me any perpetual happiness. So I'm going to sacrifice all this one. So this is the first case. In that case, we feel happy that conquered this, and I am here spending my time in the beautiful bhajans of the Lord. The acharyas are here. So much wonderful devotees are here. My mind is not agitated. I'm not in any kind of anxiety. I am very happy that like this. So here you won it. The same opposite, class every day we are hearing. What if we are not going this one? So if we start going, Maya is ready to catch us. Even the materialistic people, Maya will leave it. If a devotee is turning towards Maya, then she will put her two hands to help us to come out of bhakti, devotion service. So that we'll think, okay, 1 hour. See, in many cases, if you see, I have sometimes, okay, let me see what's happening in Instagram, what's happening in Facebook.
Yeah.
Only 15 minutes, okay? After that, I will start reading books and I will start chanting, or I will hear kirtan, okay, for 15 minutes. That 15 minutes will become 2 hours and we lost everything. And then we come and sit and repent. I did a very bad thing. So the same mind, if we have in our control, then it will give us all benefit. If we lose our control, then it will become worst of all enemies.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Now I understood.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
For the controlling of mind, in that verse, the purport they written some yoga and all. So That yoga by breathing and all, or the bhakti yoga, what is it? Prabhupada written the purport, no?
In the purport,
The
no,
Jita.
Prabhu.
Yeah, in the Jita and the Prasannatma.
Oh, okay, that
Yeah.
Bhagavad Gita sloka. All other yoga process will not work, Prabhu, because these are all at the strength of oneself, Jiva's strength, and then every possibility of falling down. So that is not going to work. Only if we go and surrender to the Supreme and do this devotional service, then easily we can surmount the very vulnerable mind, and then mind will help us to achieve the Supreme.
So all those breathing exercises are not, that's also good. That's also required.
Yeah, breathing exercise, asanas
no,
are good. That is a very small portion of this Ashtanga Yoga, third and fourth element of the Ashtanga Yoga. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. Like this, 8, only third and fourth are there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pratyahara. So only the third and fourth element is this Pranayama and Asana. But
will it help of controlling mind? That also will help.
yeah, that's what, Prabhu, if you do all these 8 angas meticulously, then we can control our mind. That is also in one's own strength, and any possibility. If we know that Vishwamitra Muni was in a very tapasya for thousands of years. Not even one woman is required in front of her to distract one's tapasya. The sound of the ankle bell was enough. Then he fell down.
But how the same woman could not touch Haridas Thakur? No, that
But
lady
he
came
was in a
alone.
different yoga. He knew who were coming is Maya, and he know that I am, my eternal duty is to serve the Supreme Lord, the Nama Prabhu. So Nama Prabhu helped him how to come out of that.
And he didn't offend her also. He told,
No.
wait, Mataji, I will surely wait. And he made her a devotee.
Yeah.
Do you think?
He made her the Acharya. He left the place and
Yeah.
she made her. Okay, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did only one verse today, 30.
One verse, Prabhu, 30. So 31st, that is.
I don't know tomorrow Mataji will come or not.
Yeah.
Tomorrow I will take.
I'm going for walking now.
Yeah, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Anyway, tell Molu to be very careful. Tell her to take
Yes.
only prasadam, Prabhu, please. Because
Yeah,
the
yes.
children inside is
She
so
just
much,
came from Guruvayur yesterday. She was
Very
staying.
good, Prabhu. You talk to her every day at least 10 minutes, Prabhu, please, for the
Yeah,
child,
half an hour morning, half an hour evening, daily we are talking.
please. And that second chapter she must read for the soul and all. She should know. 8th
Yeah.
chapter, like that. And the Kapil Dev is tell her to read.
Yeah.
3rd canto, no?
Yes,
The movement of the child inside that let her read. I think
Yeah.
31st chapter.
Correct. I'll tell her, Prabhu.
Because I told my daughters, that's why I feel Lakshmi also should do that.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
is my daughter also.
I will send her a message.
Sure,
right now.
Prabhu, I'll read, Prabhu.
Oh, you are here. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
Because
will send you
Sadiki-
the lingam. Sri Veda
Okay.
base, if you go,
Yeah.
3rd canto.
Our 3rd canto, Bhayangar effective, Prabhu. The child will really understand what she is reading.
Correct. Okay,
Thank you
Prabhu.
very much. All the best, Molu, Lakshmi Molu. In the Punnar Molu chanting, the child should, when she comes out, he should chant and come. Hare
Yes.
Krishna. Thank you. All the best.
Hare
Don't feel bad.
Thank you,
I'm
Prabhu.
forcing you so much because
No,
I'm
No.
concerned about you.
Yes, Prabhu, I understand.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Radhe
Once
Krishna,
again,
Hare Krishna. Thank you much.
Sadhubhyavacha, Patitanam,
Nana
Pavanebhyo.
Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namah.
Vaishnava.
Hare Krishna for your son. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare
His Grace Rameswar Kanai Prabhu ki Jai Ho.
Gurudev ki jai.
Jai Ho. Gauranga, Nityananda, Nityananda, Gauranga. Gauranga, Molute Vats, Nityananda. Jai Jai Sri Radhe Shyam.
Shyam.
सबको मिले वृंदावन धाम गोविंद की जय हो श्री लक्ष्मी माता जी की जय हो हरे कृष्णा ओके प्रभु थैंक यू